This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
It's time to make sports betting in Minnesota legal. It's a win-win-win. A win for consumers, a win for youth sports, a win for charities. Consumers would have more protection against offshore unregulated websites. Revenue would stay in Minnesota and be invested in youth sports and provide a tax cut for charities. Legalizing sports betting has bipartisan support, as well as support from Minnesota's tribes and horse tracks. Let your legislators know the time for waiting is over, and join 39 other states in protecting consumers, ensuring age verification, and benefiting Minnesota. Visit sportsbettingalliance.org to learn more. Prepared and paid for by the Sports Betting Alliance.
Hey runners, Kate Max here. Running can be tough, but shopping for gear shouldn't be. That's why you should trust Running Warehouse. They have all the best brands, styles, and colors in one place. Whether you're hitting the trails or pounding the pavement, they've got the perfect gear for you. Plus, their in-house experts are ready to help. Upgrade your running game and shop with confidence with Running Warehouse. Shop now at runningwarehouse.com with free shipping and free returns.
Wasabi Technologies is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from those old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams around the world. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, Wasabi is driving innovation in data storage, all for up to 80% less than those other guys. Try them out for free at wasabi.com.
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Where are we, America? Quiet after one, I'm a little drunk and I need you now. That's a great song.
All right, let's get the top 5 going. Breaking free is Draisaitl to the net. Score! Leon Draisaitl has tied the series with his 4th OT winner in the playoffs. Final score, Edmonton 5, Florida 4 in overtime.
Yeesh. Think that was the Edmonton Oilers radio network.
You sure that wasn't Florida?
I think. I don't think it was Florida.
Okay.
I know it wasn't the broadcasters you heard last night right here on the Fan, because we are your home for the Stanley Cup Finals. So I could just say the Edmonton Oilers knocked off the Florida Panthers in, I won't say overtime like the play-by-play guy, overtime last night, 5-4. Draisaitl with his 4th OT winner of the playoffs. But Dan, there was so much more. So much more. What an epic game that was last night. The Oilers, clearly, after setting the tone in the final stages of Game 3, were ready to go for Game 4, getting down 3-0 after the first period. It did not look good.
No, it did not.
What did they do during the second or the first intermission? They pulled their goaltender, first of all.
Yeah, that might have been the key move right there.
And they drew a line in the sand. And they didn't come out and start trying to kill people or hurt people. They fought back and got all 3 back in the second period. So they go into the third period, knotted up at 3. Edmonton gets the go-ahead goal with like 6 minutes left. The Panthers tie it with less than 20 seconds left. And they go to overtime. And the series now is tied at 2. And it goes back to Edmonton. As good as it gets.
Well, it feels like a whole new series at this point.
Yes,
obviously, Edmonton's in position. I mean, I'm not going to say that Florida's too good and the teams are probably too closely matched. But I think when it's 3-0 first period, it does sort of feel like, well, the tide is definitely turned. And there's no turning it back now. And that's the great thing about what they did do. Goaltending change may have been the start of it, but they obviously played a lot better, and then they lose the lead late, 20 seconds to go in regulation, and then you feel like, I thought Florida had some terrific chances early in the OT to win it, but that's how hockey works. They don't capitalize. I think they had one shot that ended up being off the post, very nearly a goal, and they get the thing done. And the lesson is, you said, don't fight, just fight back. Just play better And don't worry, don't get so hung up on, well, they're kind of sneaky. They go right up to the line and they bait you, and then they walk away. Which, by the way, if they do, that is, again, to their credit, because that's the way the game works to a large extent. So, I was no doubt celebrating the fact that they were down 3-0, basically saying all those warnings we got about how Florida's not going to know what hit them. Obviously, that was not the case. But they get the last laugh for this game, and they took the starch right out of the crowd, obviously. A stunned crowd, pretty much, correct?
How could it not be?
And get the thing done, and now you got a series, right? Now you get to the pivotal Game 5 at 2-2.
Continues tomorrow night right here on The Fan. Get-in price for tomorrow night's game, according to what I'm looking at right here, what are they using? They use Vivid Seats on ESPN.com.
Okay.
What do you think the get-in price is tomorrow night, Game 5, Saturday night in Edmonton?
$150?
It's not Oklahoma City.
Oh.
You can buy tickets from wherever you live.
Oh, I see.
I think, if you want to go to an Oiler game. The lowest price right now is $792.
Wow, that's higher than I thought it would be.
Potential Game 7 is $1,800.
Wow.
Now, that'll obviously fluctuate, go up, go down. Probably won't go down much.
Remarkable.
But pretty interesting stuff there. So that is tomorrow night, another game you can hear right here on The Fan.
Beautiful.
You can't hear this game on The Fan, but you can watch it. And I'm sure you can hear In the Zone talk about it tomorrow. Game 4 of the NBA Finals, Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers. The Pacers lead that series 2-1. 7:30 puck drop at the greatest stadium in the greatest city in the world, Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Tickets as low as $513 there.
$513?
And the Thunder are favored by
4.5.
Close, 5.5 points.
5.5 points, yeah. Well, this is... I think most people are figuring that the Thunder will rebound. I don't have a strong feeling about it. The only thing I'll say is I think we've all watched enough Pacers to say I don't think you can rule them out of anything. And they do have maybe, right now, possibly the best coach in the National Basketball Association. But I am of the opinion that well, I'm going to go ahead with it. I think that the winner of tonight's game wins the series. I do think that. I think if the Pacers go up 3-1, they're going to be able to win the series, even though it's not impossible for Oklahoma City with the home ice edge, having 2 of the 3 games left at home to come back and win it. But I don't like the Pacers' chances to recover. Similar, like I didn't think the Wolves had a great chance if they didn't at least make it 2-2 heading back on the road. It's a great opportunity. In this case, it's not, 2-2, it's 3-1, right? They have the advantage of giving you a 3-1, which is even better. All the Wolves could hope for was, well, we can make it a series and we can get it to 2-2. Their opportunity, on the basis of the good work they've done to this point, is we can be 1 game away from winning their first world championship.
I'm excited to see. I'm fired up for this game tonight.
Yeah, I think it should be good.
I'm glad it's a series, first of all, because a lot of people just thought Oklahoma City's too good.
Very true.
Right? The Pacers were an afterthought. The number you could have gotten on the Pacers to win the series, I want to say it was like 600-700 before the series. Even now, they're an underdog, but it all begins about 2 hours and 20 minutes from now. The Twins are in Houston, where Lavelle will check in from about 20 minutes from now. They are clinging to the final wild card spot, having gone 5-5 in their last 10. They're 36-32, a half game up on the Cleveland Guardians for the 3rd and final wild card spot. Give you the lineup for tonight. It's Buxton, Jeffers, Correa, France, Royce Lewis, who I think was 1 for 4 yesterday, Castro, Wallner, Lee, and your guy Bader, who looks like a ball guy. And the Twins need a good outing from a guy who's been good all year, Chris Paddock, right? After the first couple of starts.
They could use it.
Chris Paddock has been fairly good with a 3.53 ERA. He's on the mound opposing Colton Gordon. First pitch, 7-10. Twins slight underdogs tonight.
Well, we all know what they're dealing with right now. They're dealing with a weakened starting rotation, so they need somebody they just need a well-pitched game at this point. That'd be a good place to start. As you mentioned, pretty good competition that they're playing at this point. And right now, it's, the needle's going the wrong direction, right? Baseball tends to be a long season, and so those things are going to kind of happen. But the objective, obviously, is to make sure that it doesn't go too far pear-shaped in the wrong direction. And so that means they need to get a surge going. And I don't know even if they're capable of that, given the way the rotation has been weakened and the fact that the lineup still is not very good. We gave up, 16 runs in 2 of our last 3 games as well. And so that means the bullpen hasn't been particularly effective either.
We'll wrap up the top 5 at 5 discussing the Shams Charania nugget today on the Pat McAfee Show that he expects the Kevin Durant trade could possibly happen in the next couple of days. He mentioned 6 to 8 teams have inquired about KD and the services of KD and what might need to happen, both with the assets to give up and the potential contract to get that trade consummated. But he said the 3 teams that had the most steam were the Rockets, right? Mm-hmm. Who was the second one? I can't even remember.
The Rockets, Miami.
Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Which was very funny, by the way, because Udonis Haslem has been on a lot of ESPN shows, including the McAfee Show.
We don't want him?
Well, no, but he's like vice president of player personnel or player development for the Heat, which is interesting. And he basically sitting there.
You think it's tampering?
Well, he's up there going, I can't talk about it. He's just sitting there like a bump on the log while Shams is talking about it.
He's worried about tampering. Obviously.
He should be.
He's got to be, yeah.
But the Minnesota Timberwolves are the 3rd team. And Charania also mentioning that not necessarily does the team that acquires KD have to give him the 2-year extension that he would be eligible for. I'm sure KD would like it because it's like $110 million. But there are some teams apparently that are discussing the Kawhi Leonard scenario,
right,
where you trade for him knowing he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Take your best shot at it and see what happens. So it could happen as early as tonight, tomorrow, Sunday. Maybe by Monday, we're going to be talking about the Kevin Durant era of Minnesota Timberwolves basketball.
Yeah, and if he ends up someplace else, then the obvious question is going to be, what are the fallback possibilities for the Wolves? Because there are, I think, some other players that we've heard rumors about, Garland included, although Garland worries me for some other reasons. But I'm guessing there might even be a couple of names we haven't even heard of. I think there's going to be a lot of activity in this offseason, and much of it might take place, as I said, before the draft, for the obvious reason that then those draft picks, if they're moved around, are in place, or at the very latest, even draft night. I don't think we're going to have to wait long to know the future direction of your Timberwolves.
There's your top 5 at 5.
We have a new Great Minnesota Get-Together T-shirt idea, which I think is pretty good, which we'll take under advisement. Get to a couple of other stories before we chat with Lavelle at 5:30.
It's time to make sports betting in Minnesota legal. It's a win-win-win. A win for consumers, a win for youth sports, a win for charities. Consumers would have more protection against offshore unregulated websites. Revenue would stay in Minnesota and be invested in youth sports and provide a tax cut for charities. Legalizing sports betting has bipartisan support as well as support from Minnesota's tribes and horse tracks. Let your legislators know the time for waiting is over and join 39 other states in protecting consumers, ensuring age verification, and benefiting Minnesota. Visit sportsbettingalliance.org to learn more. Prepared and paid for by the Sports Betting Alliance.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage. eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Oh.
Middle East update. It appears that Tel Aviv has been hit by a number of Iranian missile strikes. Central Tel Aviv included in that barrage. The Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said Iran had, quote, crossed a red line, unquote, by firing missiles at populated civilian areas in Israel. A spokesperson for Israel's emergency medical services says that the missile strikes have injured 34, largely in Tel Aviv. The supreme leader of Iran had said Israel should expect severe punishment for Israel's wide-ranging attack on the country's nuclear program and military leadership. Israel killed the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, struck down dozens of targets, and pushing the region into a new conflict with uncertain consequences. President, I felt like he had interviews with everybody today, including the Wall Street Journal, saying he was aware of Israel's plans to attack Iran. Heads up. It wasn't a heads up. It was, we know what's going on. He had earlier urged Iran's leadership to make a deal before there is nothing left. I think I saw a quote from Netanyahu saying that, be ready, Iran, there's a lot more coming. Several members of the military leadership of Iran apparently have been killed. Netanyahu says the military operation will last as many days as it takes. And a senior Israeli official is quoted by the Wall Street Journal as saying that right now they are planning 14 days of operations as well. So obviously CNN has now gone, this is where CNN I think is in a good position because they've got people on the ground in a number of international locations like Jerusalem, like Tel Aviv, etc. And, I think when you get past all the smoke and the destruction to this point, what remains unknown, and I think to me is the most crucial question is, because where do we start with all this? It's the concern about nuclear potential for Iran, right, to develop nuclear weapons. And one of the main sites has been apparently, we believe, according to reports, damaged badly. But there's another location that I don't think the Israelis have the wherewithal, despite their creativity and ingenuity, when it comes to putting together this plan to disrupt that location. And that's why, as much as I get how right now, in real time, you're kind of covering the war, so to speak, right? But to me, that's still the larger question, because when you go back to the beginning, that's what this was all about, right? This was largely, we thought, about making sure that they don't have a chance that they're getting too close to developing nuclear weapons. So that, to me, is the open question. Are the stories true that the second location, deep underground in a mountain, is beyond the bombing capabilities of Israel, even with the firepower that they have, and that the U.S. is the only country that has the sort of bomb that might actually be able to wipe that out? So is that the next step? Is that what's going to draw us into this sort of thing? Because the rest of it is not going to matter if at the end of whatever this conflagration is, You have not eliminated the threat of nuclear weapons out of Iran, right? And I mean, you want to look at it perversely. You go, well, this might make it more likely as long as they still have some capabilities to do that they might even be more motivated to work quicker, and might be more likely to say, we don't care. We're just, we don't, you don't think, once we get it, we'll use it. So that to me is the overarching part of the story that's still in all of the relative celebration. I use that word advisedly in terms of saying we've done serious damage to their infrastructure. I certainly don't think most people are going to have a problem with that, but we got to know the answer to that other question. And maybe they know, and maybe they're just not saying. Maybe there's another series of steps that even the Israelis are going to be involved in there. I'm not exactly sure, but we will indeed have to see. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is 64686. Dan and Gaardsy, $795 Canadian for tickets in Edmonton is only it's a bargain at $585 US with the conversion rate. $585 US for whatever that's worth.
Well, interesting. I mean, I was just reading on ESPN. I didn't know they.
You don't know if they converted.
I don't know if they converted it. Yeah, thank you for the word. I couldn't get there.
I don't know if they did or not. State Fair T-shirt. You ready for this one?
I am.
To 49 states is just a fair, but this is Minnesota. Playing nicely off of the comments from the Indiana Pacers head coach, Rick Carlisle, right?
I kind of like that.
49 states, it's basketball, but this is Indiana, right?
It sure
Something
is.
to that effect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do feel the same about our fair.
They've already marketed the T-shirt that way. It's selling like hotcakes at the field house formerly known as Conseco.
Whoever was sitting next to Caitlin Clark the other night had the full sentence T-shirt. The fans got this, but this is Indiana. Whoever was sitting next to Clark, maybe even Clark, I don't know, had that entire quote.
He did the choke sign, or she did, Caitlin, at the game, right?
Yeah.
She did the choke sign deal?
Yeah.
Just kind of interesting.
She's supposed to play tomorrow.
Tomorrow against the only undefeated team left, the Liberty, the hated Liberty.
That's going to be box office.
Which is going to be outstanding,
Do you think that after that USA Today report that we talk about on Enough Said tonight, where WNBA viewership is down 50% since Caitlin Clark has been injured, do you think that the New York Skyline dress-wearing commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, called Clark and said, how long are we going to milk this?
It wouldn't be.
You good?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Can we get back out there? Can we try the Saturday game against the Liberty?
You think Clark is purposefully, deliberately delaying her return to make a point?
Well, what day did Michael Jordan return to the NBA in 1995? Do you remember? Because I think I do.
No, well, it was March, wasn't it? In the year.
It was March, but I think it was a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I actually went to the game.
You were there against where else would he want to come back?
That's true.
Indianapolis.
That's it.
But I've told you this before. I remember vividly being in Adam Stribling's kitchen watching that game on Oak Drive, maybe, in Edina. And it was a Sunday afternoon. It wasn't like we played hooky. I would have to watch Michael Jordan or any of the Bulls. But that was probably calculated, right? He didn't come back for a Thursday night game that was just going to be on WGN. He came back for Sunday afternoon.
I think it became a national game, too.
Yes, why wouldn't it be?
It had to be. Can we get the Korean hockey broadcast version of the overtime game winner for Edmonton?
I wonder how many international broadcasters they do hockey.
Well, I assume with a lot of these international broadcasters, they're not in the arena all the time, right?
You'd be surprised.
Some of them are, but I think some are in studios.
Yeah.
And they doctor it up. Some do a better job than others of making it feel like they're right there in the arena. Some are, I think, but I think there's only so much room.
Right.
I don't think all of them can be in like 12 different languages. Do you think? 702 guy wants to know why the fan and so many Minnesotans are cheering for the Canadian team to beat the U.S. team. Is it solely not wanting Sunbelt teams to win the cup? I have not taken a rooting interest in this series. Are there people who have? Is it because they feel like it would be kind of cool after all this time for Canada to finally get a cup winner?
I think that's, if the people that are cheering for Edmonton, I think that's the case. And also Connor McDavid, a lot of people feel like he deserves one because he's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
There's that story angle as well. I don't think it's any anti-Sunshine State bias. I think it's more about how does Canada not have one?
Yeah.
Edmonton hasn't won one in forever. McDavid is unbelievable. He deserves one. It's an easy story.
Can you check the dates of the Indiana State Fair?
Do they even have one?
I don't know. It's a good question.
They're so worried about bringing events there.
I don't know that they... I don't remember one.
I'm sure they have one.
I mean, there are county fairs. I remember going to like the Lake County Fair out, near Gary, Indiana. Probably with Bozich was probably there, and I didn't even know it because I didn't know him then. But I don't remember an Indiana State Fair. It would be, one would assume, in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Do
the
they have
Indiana
one?
State Fair spans 15 days in August, so it knocks us out.
Yeah, 15.
Debuted in 1852 at Military Park. It's the 6th oldest state fair.
Naptown?
In the country. What's Naptown?
Indianapolis. That's what the in kids back in the day
really?
called it, Naptown. Yeah.
Yeah, 1852 is when it started.
But is that the city, or is it elsewhere?
It's in Indy.
It is in Indy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember a damn thing about it. I wonder how it's ranked. Maybe we'll do some due diligence on that by the time we get to the
Where is Military Park?
I don't know.
Western downtown Indy.
Western downtown Indy. Well, downtown Indy is becoming more vibrant by the day. That's what I've heard from several people, including Isola and Scalabrini. They've been broadcasting live from there. They've been nothing but raving about it.
Military Park doesn't seem like a very big place to do it.
Well, it might not be that big a fair. It may not be that big a fair.
I mean, it's
doubt
basically
it's as big
like
as
a block.
Seriously?
It kind of feels like
that
it.
Doesn't seem very big.
Just a few blocks from Monument Circle, which I'm sure you know well.
Extremely well. All right, let's do this. Let's pause, and we will prepare for a visit with Lavelle Neal. Lavelle Neal III.
It's time to make sports betting in Minnesota legal. It's a win-win-win. A win for consumers, a win for youth sports, a win for charities. Consumers would have more protection against offshore unregulated websites. Revenue would stay in Minnesota and be invested in youth sports and provide a tax cut for charities. Legalizing sports betting has bipartisan support as well as support from Minnesota's tribes and horse tracks. Let your legislators know the time for waiting is over and join 39 other states in protecting consumers, ensuring age verification, and benefiting Minnesota. Visit sportsbettingalliance.org to learn more. Prepared and paid for by the Sports Betting Alliance.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Hey runners, Kate Max here. Running can be tough, but shopping for gear shouldn't be. That's why you should trust Running Warehouse. They have all the best brands, styles, and colors in one place. Whether you're hitting the trails or pounding the pavement, they've got the perfect gear for you. Plus, their in-house experts are ready to help. Upgrade your running game and shop with confidence with Running Warehouse. Shop now at runningwarehouse.com with free shipping and free returns.
Houston.
If you ever go to Houston, got to walk right, got to keep your hands deep in your pocket and your gun belt tight.
Allery's Bar and Barbecue brings us Lavelle Neal III. Of course, Allery's is in downtown St. Paul, and if the Wild were in the Stanley Cup Finals, you'd be able to park there, but we're not quite close to the Stanley Cup Finals. Lavelle is not very close to St. Paul right now, though. He is Dateline, Houston, Texas. Speaking of gun belt tight, would you like to kindly explain to our lovely audience why you were chatting with us from Houston.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Happy Friday to you and yours.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, this is an annual leisure trip, so I'm not here as a beat writer or a columnist or a reporter in any sense of the imagination. I am here because every year my brother's birthday falls in June, and so I started taking him on a Twins road trip back when I was on the beat. I think our first trip was Milwaukee, and then the next one was Kansas City, and then we did Cleveland, and then we did Chicago. We've done Chicago twice since then, and we've done Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
So like every June I take him on a Twins road trip. Even since I've come off the beat, I pledge we would still do it because it gives them a chance to kind of see different cities in the country. And my friends come along, and it ends up being a merry old time. So today is actually my brother's 55th birthday.
Nice.
So we're spending it at Danson Stadium, or Danson Park, whatever it's called, in Houston to watch the Twins try to shake off a lousy series against the Rangers and take on the Houston Astros.
By the way,
it's Jimmy Buffett night here tonight, by the way.
Jimmy Buffett night, you say? Huh.
Yeah.
Is the Houston Astrodome has long been imploded, correct? No? It's still Gaardsy nodding, shaking his head.
It's right next to NRG Stadium.
Is that right?
Yeah, you get out there.
It still stands.
And is it functioning? What's it used for? Do we know?
Like craft shows and things?
Okay, that kind of thing. Okay. So it's stood the test of time.
Yes, it has. I covered a couple games there early in my beat writing career, way back. Maybe when I was covering Kansas City Royals, I think was the first time I covered the game there. So, of course, I haven't been there since. But yeah, it's still there next to NRG Stadium, home of C.J. Stroud and the Fighting Texans. So, the Astros ballpark is less than a mile from downtown Houston. So it's in a good location. It's a retractable roof, which will help. I will tell you what, the difference in humidity was immediate when you stepped outside the airport to get an Uber to the hotel. Man, it is some kind of humidity here, and every day is supposed to be 85 degrees for a high and 77 for a low. So, you kind of hit us in our face when we first started walking around. So, but we landed and we walked a couple spots down to a southern restaurant, and I had a nice little dish of some fried catfish and some grilled shrimp and some dirty rice and pork, and it was outstanding. So I am ready to take the next step in this itinerary, which is to head over to the ballpark and watch a little baseball.
November 26, 1982, I covered Larry Holmes versus Randall Tex Cobb at the Houston Astrodome. And
you were at the morning news then?
I was at the morning news, and not only that, that was right around, I think the fight was a day or two after Thanksgiving. So I had my Thanksgiving meal at, I think it was at Denny's. I mean, I'm being literal. I think I ate a Thanksgiving meal at Denny's because I didn't know where else to go. And then covered, I don't even remember how that fight went, to be honest with you. I think it was a unanimous decision for looking it up now for Holmes to win it. But yeah, so I have not covered, I don't think I've ever covered any baseball in Houston, but I have covered, at the Astrodome, I have covered a fight.
Did Cobb have any bones left in his nose at that stage of his career? No,
not really. I mean, it was one of those. Well, in fact, if you people say that the beating, because basically the ref refused to stop it. It went 15 full rounds, and there was such a beating that it was one of the reasons Cosell said, "I've had enough." Commentating on boxing, I'm done with it. It's too brutal. At that point, he was very unhappy. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure Cobb had a pig snout by the end of that fight.
Yeah, it wasn't pleasant, that's for sure. All right, you mentioned your Twins club. We're kind of in a precarious position, are we not? Because you can't really replace a pitcher as good as Pablo. Then you have the added complication that the pitchers you still thought you could count on, including the giant Bailey Ober, seems to have something going on mentally and physically, quite frankly. Where is it an injury? Is it something in his motion? He's starting to get knocked around. I think the ERA post the starters for the Twins since the Pablo news broke out is over 7. So we all know that the whole thing, it's a house of cards. If this team, not a great hitting team, can't cobble together some kind of professional rotation.
Absolutely right. And right now they only have 2 starters they can rely on. It's Joe Ryan and Chris Paddock,
who's going tonight, right?
Yeah. Who it was weird because I think we all were waiting throughout the offseason for him to get traded. I think we were waiting spring training for him to get moved for something, but that transaction never happened, and it's going to benefit the Twins here because Paddock has found something. As long as he doesn't fall in love with his changeup too much, and mixes his pitches properly, he's definitely very effective. So he's going to be tasked with kind of stopping the slide here. I don't think the Twins are taking on water yet, but they're both definitely being rocked by a storm in the middle of the sea right now. So they need to just get some stabilization going, and it's got to be up to Paddock to start that tonight against Houston.
Yeah, against and again in a division. Well, I guess the only team that's kind of running away with it is the Tigers, but they certainly are running away with it. But you still have at least you got 2 other teams besides the Twins. I think we're still above 500 records in the division, correct?
I think it's correct. I think the Royals and the Guardians are still over 500. The Royals, though, they took a blow. Their left-hander just went on the injured list. What's his name? Cole Reagan just went on the injured list. He's going to probably be out for about 3 weeks or so. So it's not just the Twins that are having guys drop out of the rotation. Of course, losing a guy for 2 months though is a big blow, especially when that guy's Pablo Lopez. But this is what it is, man. Yeah, you got to be able to improvise and overcome. And right now, they got to see what they could get out of Simeon Woods-Richardson and David Festa, and those guys to kind of stem the tide here until guys get healthy, until Zebby comes back, until Pablo gets healthy. I was encouraged by Festa.
Yes.
Because he got rocked against Oakland in his first outing. He bounced back with a nice start for the Twins only winning that series against the Rangers. And it kind of reminds me with Zebby's first start was against Milwaukee. He was lousy in that start. He actually settled down for his next start. So I'm hoping that Simeon, maybe it's something about getting back up and being amped about being back in the majors, then you just don't have your stuff. You just don't have your command. Because I didn't think Simeon had much of anything in that Tuesday game. So maybe when Simeon goes back out there, he's settled down a little bit now, and he can pitch effectively. I think he's scheduled to pitch in this series, and he's from the crib. This is his crib.
Oh, so okay.
He's going to have friends and family here, so it's going to be a big day for Simeon. See if he can turn things around here.
Questions for Lavelle? Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open as always, and that number is 64686. There's a lot of recent, from today, really, steam from your guy, Shams Charania, saying, guess what? I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Durant is traded within the next few days, and he has narrowed the possibilities on the basis of his reporting to 3 teams: Houston, Gunbelt tight, where you are, Miami, and Minnesota.
Now, yeah, I have to admit that I haven't had a chance to read a lot of the paper today, but I just happened to have the TV on. What was I? Oh, I was in midair. I was flying down here, and I was watching ESPN, and then watching that dastardly doggone Pat McAfee show, which I try to avoid. But I saw Shams on, so I listened to it for a few seconds. And Udonis Haslem was with him, and of course he's widely respected across the league, a big figure in the Players Association for a while. I think he played till he was like 49 with the Miami Heat before he retired. And so Shams was on, and I was like, well, I'm listening to what he says. And then he got to that point about he felt that a deal could happen in the next days, not weeks, not before the trade, not before free agency begins or the draft occurs, but he thought in the coming days something could happen. And he named Houston, he named Miami, and he named Minnesota.
Correct.
Of course, Flyover Country got slapped up in the face by the McAfee crew because they immediately went to Udonis to talk to him about the connection with Miami and how the effect would that be. And then they talked about Ime Udoka and Houston. I don't think they ever talked about how he would fit in with the Wolves. So,
That's
once again, Wolves fans getting slighted here for being in flyover country.
Well, that's the odd part of that. I mean, McAfee's in flyover country. You'd think of all people would be sensitive to that particular issue, that the only cities that could possibly matter in this discussion would start with Miami.
Right, no doubt. No, yeah, you're right about that, man. So that's just weird. Well,
here's my question to you. Every time the subject is explored on this show, we get very polarizing texts. We get some people who are intrigued. And then I have to tell you, the majority of people, and this isn't a scientific poll, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, we love it, but it's not scientific. But if you want to take it as any kind of arbiter, we get more people who say, don't even think about it. I don't want to get anywhere near it. He's too old. You're borrowing trouble, because if you don't win the title basically the first year, nothing's good is going to happen to this, and you're going to be back in the salary cap hell, and let's not do something that rash. Where are you on? Do you want to calm those fears? Do you want to calm people down and say, no, if you can get Durant for a decent price, you're obligated to do it? Or do you think it is too risky for the Wolves to consider?
I would consider it. The man's going to turn 37 years old. He's still averaging 26 points a game. His shooting percentage is still up there. I think he excelled in that true shooting percentage, which, the analytic people like to dig down deep on. He can still help a team. I don't know how much defensively he can help. But the two big questions are, one, what would you have to give up for Kevin Durant?
Yes, right.
Would it cost you Julius Randle? Would it cost you Gobert? And a package of picks. If you do that, now you're changing the identity of your team, because Gobert has meant a lot to what the Wolves have been the last few years. Are you deciding to make a seismic shift here and go a different direction? Start Nas at center. If you move Randle, you start Nas at power forward and put Durant at small forward, which I like. I'd be intrigued by that. But the other tentacle to this thing that concerns me is he's making $54 million next year. And I don't know of many players who are going to be willing to be traded with a year left in his contract without getting some sort of extension. So, and I think he could come at $110 million over 2 years at a certain date. So are you ready to make that type of financial commitment when you just traded Karl-Anthony Towns in order to stay away from the second apron? So there's so many things to consider with this. And my argument to Phoenix would be, if I'm taking on this salary and have to re-sign this guy, I'm sorry, this is going to affect when I'm going to give up another rent. How is Phoenix going to feel like that? Because I'm sure they're thinking that moving Garnett is going to be a way to trigger their rebirth here and get some assets in, get some picks in. So this seems a little tricky to me as far as the possibility of it happening.
Yeah,
and man, I tell you what, though, the whole Miami thing, just because Miami's Miami, and you got Spoelstra there, you got a great city to live in, and if you think you got a chance to win there, man, I would take a serious look at Miami and play for the what do you call it, the Spoelstra Nostra? Is that what Udonis Haslem called it?
But here's
the Spoelstra Nostra.
Here's the flaw, I think, in the logic. Now again, Miami is a wonderful place to hang, and Durant might be ready for that at this point in his career, but he does not have a better chance to win a title in Miami than he does here.
Well, the East is wide open, don't you think?
Yeah, but who's the second? I mean, the second piece is nowhere near, if you want to consider Durant a 1, and he's not at this point, he's at 2. There's no Anthony Edwards in Miami at this point. So
you have Tyler Hero and you have Bam Adebayo. And who else?
And Bam's a nice player, right? There's no question about that. But I still don't. Hero is interesting because at times he looks like a star, and then there's other times where you're not so sure. A lot's going to depend on, as you say, the price. Allegedly, Phoenix has become more realistic in understanding that you're not going to get a bonanza for Durant at this point. But what will they accept, and what will the Wolves be willing to give up? My guess is it would end up being one of those complicated deals because of all the second apron nonsense that the Wolves will have to include some other teams. It's going to be very convoluted and very a complicated deal that involves more than two teams.
Would you move him for Randall, Terrence Shannon Jr., and draft picks?
Yes, I would.
For him?
Yeah, for sure. I would. Yeah, 100%.
I think that's where I don't think Terrence Shannon's going to be with the Wolves next year. I think he's going to have to be a piece.
Well, I think you're going to have to. Something's going to have to give, I guess, is the better way to put it. And Shannon clearly looks more ready to help now than Dillingham. But I think long term, there's a reason they went up in the draft to get Dillingham. I think Dillingham still has potentially a higher. What's the best you can get out of him if he gets stronger and gets a little bit more mature? And again, you don't want to lose any of your young talent, but you're going to have to give up something. And the key, of course, is to not giving up Jaden. So if you're not going to give up Jaden, you're going to have to give up some other pieces, as you say. And
well, I'm not that locked in on keeping Jaden long term, to be honest with you, because we're still waiting for the offense to fall. And he ended up averaging 12.2 points a game this year.
Yeah, it's better than it's been.
So when you look at the Wolves starting lineup, Gobert, Mike Conley, and McDaniels, you've got basically two scorers to worry about. And I think the teams that are harder to beat are the ones where you have to worry about guarding more than just two guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So I think that's what Fitchy and Connolly have to look at, how to shape this team. That's why Durant would be such a nice fit for them in that regard.
Saul is checking in from Blaine, getting us back to the Twins subject. He says it stinks being a Twins fan at the moment. With almost certain, it's almost a certainty they will not listen to Lavelle and do anything before the trade deadline. But here's a decent trade option. Savali from the Brewers just got moved to the pen. His agent requested a trade. A very solid starter, not super sexy, which falls right into the Twins' taste in trades and free agents. What do you think about Savali? Is he available? What do you think of him?
Two answers. He's right. That would be the type of move that the Twins could possibly pull off and have someone to kind of bridge the gap here. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, Savali was traded to the White Sox today for Andrew Vaughn.
Is that right? The Sox took him? Interesting.
Yes. And Andrew Vaughn's OPS is 7-something. He's I think he's batting around 200 for the regular season.
Whoa.
So, can you blame Milwaukee though? They took Savali out of the rotation to bring up this kid that's throwing 102.
Yeah, that's
102.
true.
He's a starter. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Savali would have made some sense here though, for all those reasons laid out. So that's too bad. So we got beaten to him by another team in the division, eh?
Right, and the worst team in the division.
Yeah, and the worst team. Well, maybe not for long.
So Savali can start all the games he wants now for the White Sox. Good luck with that run production.
Yeah, you're right about that. Did you get to watch any of the hockey last night? It was an extremely dramatic comeback by Edmonton.
I was writing a eulogy in my head when it got to be 3-0 Panthers. I was like, not only is this game over, this series may be over, because I was like, after they gooned it up at the end of Game 3, to fall behind 3-0 in the next game at Florida, I was like, that's it. This goose is cooked, man. This ham is cooked, glazed, to be ready to be sliced. And then came an improbable comeback. Big-time plays by big-time players.
Yeah.
And another 5-4 game. What a series this has been. Anything's possible now. It's gone from good night, Irene, for the Edmonton Oilers to anything's possible now with these two teams.
It was done, and we learned actually that the most dangerous lead in hockey is not 2-goal lead, it's 3-goal lead on the basis of what we saw. Because did I see the stat? That's like the 6th or 7th time only in Stanley Cup Finals history that a team down 3 goals actually came back to win the game. It's pretty rare.
No, it's incredibly rare. It's ridiculous. And, man, I tell you what, the speed at which the game was being played in the third period was just jaw-dropping. I mean, it was like slap shots for passes.
Yeah.
It was you had to be thinking 3 steps ahead the entire third period just to get the puck into the scoring zone, man. It was really entertaining, and it was a great story.
Edmonton became the first road team in Stanley Cup final history to rally from a deficit of at least 3 goals and win since the Canadiens rallied to beat the Seattle Metropolitans.
Holy mackerel.
In overtime in 1919.
1919? That's a long time.
That's 106 years ago.
So the key there is the road team. So maybe the other times this happens tended to be the home team. That's, well, if I'm doing the math right, that's over 100 years. Right?
Yes.
Wow.
Home teams with at least a 3-goal lead in the Stanley Cup final were 158-1 before last night.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, and now, like you say, now it looks like it's got a chance to be a classic series and might well go 7.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I hope we see responsible KC tonight against the Pacers to even up that series and make things interesting.
As we wrap up, Texter Guy reminds me, offers a good reminder here. We actually talked some esoteric soccer the other day about the U.S. men's challenges.
No, you didn't. There's no way you talked soccer.
We led with it, in fact. We did it in the first segment, yeah. And then that night, I think we lost again to Switzerland 4-0 in what they call
4-0.
4-0. Don't they call that a friendly? Was it a friendly?
It was a friendly 4-0.
So here's the deal. You can be the arbiter of this. I'm hearing from some people in the soccer community, a year out from the Cup, there's way too much fear and loathing and panic, that the team really hasn't been put together, and that there's a bunch of people missing. And then I hear from other people, no, we should never be losing 4-0 to Switzerland, even if we're down to our second 10 or third 10. And there are some continuing to be troubling signs that men's soccer for the World Cup is going to be a disaster yet again. Which side do you come down on?
I'm on pump the brakes here about the demise of the U.S. soccer program. First of all, Switzerland and Turkey are multi-time qualifiers for the World Cup. They get in almost on a regular rate. They've got world-class players who play all over Europe. To be upset about what Switzerland did to them is short-sighted, because that is a decent national side. I'm not saying they're top 15, but maybe top 25. Maybe. Basically, damn near an entire starting 11 was missing from the U.S. roster, because guys are either beat up, recovering from surgeries, or in Christian Pulisic's case, fatigue, because he's played like over 100 matches in 2 years. So he wanted to take a little bit of a break. You can rip him all you want for not doing the patriotic thing and being there for his guys, and the Gold Cup is coming up, and he's not playing in it. But these guys are all going to be in line a year from now to be in a World Cup team, and the level of play is going to be different. What this has shown is that the drop-off from our best players to the next level of players is concerning. That's what the problem is.
Right.
So if you have injuries running up to the next World Cup, that could be an issue. But the guys we saw play from Mauricio Pochettino in these 2 friendlies against Turkey and Switzerland, I would say 80% of them, maybe 90%, will not be on the final World Cup roster. So this is not going to end here, because the Gold Cup starts, I think, tomorrow, which the United States has entered in, and that's like the regional cup. You have like Canada in it, and Mexico's in it, and guys from teams from CONCACAF and a couple of guest teams too. I think Saudi Arabia's in the tournament too. And they're probably not going to reach the finals in that one either, based on what they've been throwing out there recently. So it's going to be a lot of hand wringing, a lot of kvetching over this. But I'm taking a long view on this. Wait till the main horses get back in camp and see what this team can do.
Happy birthday to your brother. Have fun tonight in Houston, Texas. And we'll chat next week.
Well, my head is down and my belly is tight. That's only because I had a big lunch. So
that explains it.
I've got 2 of the 3 covered already as I head over to the stadium.
If you ever go to Houston, got to walk right, got to keep your hands deep in your pocket and your gun belt tight.
There it is. About as good as it gets. Have fun, man.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
Take care. Bye.
Lavelle Neal III, brought to you by Allery's Bar and Barbecue in downtown.
It's time to make sports betting in Minnesota legal. It's a win-win-win. A win for consumers, a win for youth sports, a win for charities. Consumers would have more protection against offshore unregulated websites. Revenue would stay in Minnesota and be invested in youth sports and provide a tax cut for charities. Legalizing sports betting has bipartisan support, as well as support from Minnesota's tribes and horse tracks. Let your legislators know the time for waiting is over, and join 39 other states in protecting consumers, ensuring age verification, and benefiting Minnesota. Visit sportsbettingalliance.org to learn more. Prepared and paid for by the Sports Betting Alliance.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Hey runners, Kate Max here. Running can be tough, but shopping for gear shouldn't be. That's why you should trust Running Warehouse. They have all the best brands, styles, and colors in one place. Whether you're hitting the trails or pounding the pavement, they've got the perfect gear for you. Plus, their in-house experts are ready to help. Upgrade your running game and shop with confidence with Running Warehouse. Shop now at runningwarehouse.com with free shipping and free returns.
On St. Paul. Bumper to Bumper is the name of the program. Final 30 minutes of today's broadcast. 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line as well. The people love the soccer talk, do they? I think in small quantities they probably do.
10 minutes in 4 years.
It's not a lot.
I don't think it's that extreme.
No. I'd hate it if we traded Terrence Shannon Jr. McDaniels is showing how dominant he can be with his height when he actually tries to score, and Rudy isn't there to clog up the lane. It's quite simple. Durant hasn't won anything since Golden State, no matter what team he's gone to. They've not won despite giving up loads of picks and money and player and cash. It's too risky. Offense isn't worth the lack of defense or what we would cost us to get him in return. There'd be no significant loss of defense if technically he's replacing, I don't think, Julius Randle.
Right.
I'm not
kind of a wash
pretending that he's a great defensive player. He's a much better, even at his age, offensive player, much more reliable offensive player than Randle. I get the bit about when you say, well, if he's that good, why does everything he chased turns to dust? Brooklyn was a disaster, right?
It was, but they had the big toe in the bubble.
Well, that's true.
Right?
Yes.
That if his toe's not on the line, they win that game and maybe get to the finals. I know it's the bubble. It's weird.
There were significant, there were significant Kyrie issues and injury there. Phoenix.
That's an understatement.
It's not good. It hasn't been good. But then you look at the mix of players there. I think the reason that I think it's got to be discussed is the obvious. It's that he's still, if you're not asking him to be the guy, he can become easily, even I think beyond Cat, the best relief valve that Anthony Edwards has ever had offensively. Right now,
yes,
that doesn't cure every one of their issues, but that's what he still represents at this point. And I guess there is some projecting going here that would be like he might be revived a little bit in his career in a way that I'm not saying he's always lost interest, but, it felt like there was some meandering going on in Phoenix a little bit. Like he was getting his points, he was getting his big numbers, but where was this thing, where exactly was this thing going? So, in any case, but it's still, the vast majority of people are against it, not even knowing what we would be giving up. And that's what's hard about it. I think a lot of it should depend on exactly what you're going to have to concede. How different will your roster look? Are you remaking the team? If indeed you because that's the only way you can actually get one of these complicated if it's still second apron, close to it kind of a deal.
And Phoenix is in the second apron too. Phoenix is one of, I think, the only team that had a higher payroll than Minnesota this year. They had more apron issues than the Wolves did. Well, can't you just simplify it if you assume it's going to be Randall that has to be on the way out at least, right? Definitely.
There's no way they coexist, financially or any other way.
Yeah, unless you're shipping Rudy and some other stuff, and maybe that's part of it. I'm going to be fascinated to know what all the machinations would be to get this deal done. But would you rather have, even if you wanted to simplify it to 1 year, would you rather have Durant on the team next year or Julius Randle on the team for next year?
Well, that's an easy answer.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's some other pieces you have to give up to make the money work because Randle's only making like 30 if he opts in, right? I think
Correct.
It's like $30 million.
Or 32, yeah.
We know Durant's 50.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking, I'm just still thinking about the move's going to be made for this year and maybe the next couple of years. But I also think I keep going back to the Towns trade. The main reason they did it was they didn't want to pay him $60 million 2-3 years from now. Like, you're opening up so much more money theoretically 2 years from now or 3 years from now when the next iteration of the Anthony Edwards team and era is going to be set.
But again, let's say, because if he's here, Randall's gone. But what if there's another piece that gets rid of, what is Rudy, $40 million now? $37 million? What is it?
I think it's less than 40 now after they restructured
moved it down to like 37.
I'll pull it
Maybe
up.
That's a piece of it. I don't know. Where you're not in the exact same place as you were with Towns because then you were fully committed to Rudy and somehow he's going someplace else and you have another big contract going that way. I don't know. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case. But yeah, it's a fair question. Now, I believe most basketball people will tell you that as effective as Cat could be in his own way, Kevin Durant is a top 20 all-time certainly a top 15 all-time offensive player.
Yep.
As an offensive force. And they say, well, the rules are all different because you're getting a player who's on another plateau. But is he still at that plateau? The numbers say he is. Do the numbers translate to winning? That's what you have to figure out in your mind. It's a subject I meant to get to earlier this week that we should talk about next week. That, there was this poll that came out. It didn't involve that many players about the most overrated players in the league. And one was Halliburton.
Yeah, we know.
I think 2 was Butler.
Interesting.
And 3 was LeBron, or LeBron was 2 and Butler was 3. I don't know if I have the right order. And again, I don't even think that many people voted. But you think about that and you go, are players as dumb as fans then? Because
they can be.
Honestly, you say, what's the rap? What could the rap possibly be on any of those players that are we in a mode now where too many people are into the term I guess the kids use is what's in his bag? Mm-hmm. They're like, what? In other words, what's his signature play? And I think I would make the argument when I'm evaluating players, I'm worrying less about that and more about can they help me win? Can LeBron help most teams win for most of his career? Yes. Even at this age, he's still functional and actually better than functional. Right? Jimmy Butler can still help you win, but there is no what's in Jimmy Butler's bag, though. Well, not much. But why do we get hung up on that stuff as opposed to, well, he can make plays that can help you win basketball games? To me, that should be the more important. Even Halliburton.
Right.
I mean,
he does a lot.
You know who he reminds me of offensively, believe it or not? In terms of awkwardness, Magic. Magic Johnson did not look artful going to the basket in terms of making shots, and even his jump shot was kind of awful looking, right? He just kind of aimed it. It was almost like a set shot. Halliburton's shot's not pretty, but does he make basketball plays that can, help your team win? And I think the answer to that is yes. And I still think Durant falls into that category. I think around the right people, he can still be effective. I think this team still may be kidding itself, though, if they don't figure out the point guard position. Even if you get Durant, I think you're going to have to upgrade. And that's like, well, how exactly? What's the plan for that? How are you going to get that player? Correct? Don't you think that's still a big issue?
Probably.
I think it is.
Yes, probably. But that also depends on what they think of Dillingham being that guy for half the game next year.
Right.
And you go through, and again, we don't know who's going to be on the team. Dante, I don't think Nikhil's here anyway, because I think he's just going to get a decent offer that they probably shouldn't match if they're trying to get all this other stuff in. The reason why I'm also more pro Durant than I thought I would be, you mentioned the scoring totals, and it's like 26 points, right? It's a ridiculous number.
Yes. And a 50% shooting and over 40% from three.
And that's what is most intriguing. He doesn't
shoot a lot he's not a volume shooter for threes, but he's got a good percentage.
But he's shooting at a ridiculous clip at that age. It's not like he's going
on a team that doesn't really have great shooting.
He's not going 9 for 27 to get those numbers.
Right.
I would imagine, I haven't looked at his efficiency numbers, but just doing that math, he's got to be pretty damn efficient to get to those numbers with those shooting percentages at that age. So that's what intrigues me there. He's not a guy you need to get 30 shots up to have all of that. It's so consistent the last couple of years.
Looking at for this last season, again, as an example, he averaged in 24-25, 18 shots a game, made 9.5 of them.
That's really efficient.
52.7 from the floor. He's averaging 6 3-pointers a game, hitting 2.6. That's 43. So you could say, well, maybe if he shot more, he wouldn't be as high a percentage. He's careful about that, but that's not a lot of shots, man. And yet he's a non-center shooting shooting close to 53%.
Harder to do than people think.
It's very hard to do, and it's got great value for a team that sort of lacks that kind of player, I think.
Rudy's a $35 million cap hit next year. 36.5 the year after. And we should actually be looking at cap percentages because that's really
true.
What matters at the point now.
Yeah.
He's 22.6% next year, 21.46 the year following. Then it drops to 20.31 in his final year of that deal.
Let's wrap up the program. Remind you what you might have missed earlier and what's coming up later tonight. Right here.
It's time to make sports betting in Minnesota legal. It's a win-win-win. A win for consumers, a win for youth sports, a win for charities. Consumers would have more protection against offshore unregulated websites. Revenue would stay in Minnesota and be invested in youth sports and provide a tax cut for charities. Legalizing sports betting has bipartisan support as well as support from Minnesota's tribes and horse tracks. Let your legislators know the time for waiting is over and join 39 other states in protecting consumers, ensuring age verification, and benefiting Minnesota. Visit sportsbettingalliance.org to learn more. Prepared and paid for by the Sports Betting Alliance.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Hey runners, Kate Max here. Running can be tough, but shopping for gear shouldn't be. That's why you should trust Running Warehouse. They have all the best brands, styles, and colors in one place. Whether you're hitting the trails or pounding the pavement, they've got the perfect gear for you. Plus, their in-house experts are ready to help. Upgrade your running game and shop with confidence with Running Warehouse. Shop now at runningwarehouse.com with free shipping and free returns.
Fan.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washers since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper Show Wrap.
Tonight, enough said. Regular times, Gaardsy tells me tonight. So that'd be 9:30 on Fox 9 and 7:30 on Fox 9 Plus.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
You got it.
Monday, he reminds me that John Millay is going to stop by in studio. Speaking of retiring.
Another retirement.
He's wrapping it up. He has been, how long has he been basically running things from a media relations standpoint for the Minnesota State High School League?
I want to say 15 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Former colleague of mine at the Star Tribune.
Long run as a preps writer.
We're going to, very long. So we're going to get into all that with him in studio on Monday. That should be something off the beaten track and quite nice. Johnny Athletic on Monday as well.
Probably not in studio.
No, actually, he said he would, because I challenged him last week.
Is that right?
And he said he couldn't do it last Monday, but that his plan was to be in studio. So we might have back-to-back studio guests Monday.
I apologize to John Athletic.
Well, I mean,
we'll see if it happens.
There wasn't much reason for you to question, to think the best, because he hasn't done it in a long time, but that's the rumor. Fan on Demand tonight, and then Dan Patrick. We'll have Stanley Cup Game 5 tomorrow night. Is that correct?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
And
we'll also have Lynx LA tomorrow at noon.
Starting a new streak now that the Roar for 44 is dead.
Yep.
Did you see the rather snarky Caitlin Clark related tweet? No. This is a pretty good one.
Uh-oh.
Caitlin Clark's silence about what's going on in Iran speaks volumes. That's very well played, actually.
Will she be asked about it tomorrow at shoot-around?
Very, very, very well played, for sure. Want to thank my good buddy, my best friend, Rick Bozich, who is calling it an ink-stain-wretched career after 50 years in the newspaper and writing business. Last over a decade, really, was with a TV station that allowed him to not only do TV work, but to continue to write for their website. Great idea. But he is wrapping it up on July 1st. We reminisced about his start in the newspaper business, some of the time that we spent together, and his 48 hours as Star Tribune sports columnist.
It's crazy.
Preceding me, going all the way back to 1986. He's the only reason I'm here, because he left. He freaked out after 2 days. Patrick Royce still insists that he believes that it was a press box encounter having to sit next to Sid Hartman that traumatized poor young, at that point, Rick Bozich to such a degree that he said, I can't possibly stay here.
It was a long pause when you asked him if that was true. He claims his mind was already made up, but I'm guessing
that's true.
Day at the Dome didn't help.
100% true.
Any listener of this show, their life was affected by that weekend.
For better or for worse, depending on how you want to look at it.
Mine was.
That's true.
It's crazy.
That's very, very true, Davey. You might have been a Bozich sidekick. Who's to say? Producer?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe not.
I might have had to carry his camera if he was doing all this TV stuff.
That's also true. Sunday, I'm out for Father's Day. I don't know who's in, but I am taking Sunday off. We're all back together, as I said, on Monday, beginning at 3 o'clock. Have a wonderful weekend.
I'll be there.
Unless Durant gets traded, and then I'm in Sunday.
I'll be there. I'll be around.
It's time to make sports betting in Minnesota legal. It's a win-win-win. A win for consumers, a win for youth sports, a win for charities. Consumers would have more protection against offshore unregulated websites. Revenue would stay in Minnesota and be invested in youth sports and provide a tax cut for charities. Legalizing sports betting has bipartisan support, as well as support from Minnesota's tribes and horse tracks. Let your legislators know the time for waiting is over, and join 39 other states in protecting consumers, ensuring age verification, and benefiting Minnesota. Visit sportsbettingalliance.org to learn more. Prepared and paid for by the Sports Betting Alliance.
Hey runners, Kate Max here. Running can be tough, but shopping for gear shouldn't be. That's why you should trust Running Warehouse. They have all the best brands, styles, and colors in one place. Whether you're hitting the trails or pounding the pavement, they've got the perfect gear for you. Plus, their in-house experts are ready to help. Upgrade your running game and shop with confidence with Running Warehouse. Shop now at runningwarehouse.com with free shipping and free returns.
Okay, have you heard about this? Last year, Degree changed the formula for their Cool Rush deodorant. Their fans rebelled and wanted the old scent back. And Degree listened. That doesn't happen often.
They admitted that they effed up and are bringing the original Cool Rush scent back. And it's exactly how you remember it. Cool, crisp, and fresh. There's a reason it's the #1 men's antiperspirant. And it's back in Walmart, Target, and other stores for under $4.
So try it and see what the fuss is about. Head to your local stores to try the OG Cool Rush for yourself.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.